In Indian polity, we are going to discuss about Article 28, that is freedom from attending religious instructions. Okay, so religion is a belief or faith. Okay, so religion is important and religious practices are also important. Okay, so religious practices are essential part of the religion. Okay, here religion is very important. In the same way, religious practices are also important because religion is a very delicate matter to the people. Okay, so whenever comes to the religious instructions, teaching of a particular religious beliefs, customs, rituals and practices. Okay, so whenever in any educational institutions there is a teaching of particular religious beliefs, customs, these are known as religious instructions. Okay, so for example, singing Hindu related songs in educational institutions and singing Christian related songs in any educational institutions, so these are comes under the religious instructions. Okay, so according to Article 28 clause 1, no religious instructions should be followed in educational institutions which are maintaining out of state funds. Okay, it means that there is no religious instructions in educational institutions which are aided by state funds. Okay, in those schools there is a complete prohibition of religious instructions. Okay, because all religions are equal before law. All religions are equal before the state government. That's why state is never promote a religion in educational institutions which are aided by the state funds. Okay, for example, government high schools or government colleges, in those schools or colleges there is no religious instructions should be followed. Okay, so coming to the Article 28 clause 2, educational institutions are administered by the states but established under any endowment or trust. Okay, for example, any schools or colleges, it means educational institutions which are established under trust or endowment. Okay, it means some group of people who are comes under the any religion and they started to establish the educational institutions. It means under trust. So the trust is related to one religion. For example, Christian trust. Okay, in present days there are some RCM schools. Okay, so those RCM schools are established by the Christian trust, but at present they are administered by the states, right? Okay, so established by the trust but they are administration which is done by the state only. Okay, in those educational institutions the religious instructions permitted. Okay, so because the trust is related to one religion, for example Christianity or a Muslim or a Hinduism, that's why so they are following their religious instructions because they established on the basis of religion. Okay, so they are permitted. And the third article is Article 28 clause 3. Okay, so educational institutions which are recognized by the state and they are receiving state funds also. Okay, here also there is no person attending any educational institutions. Okay, so if any educational institutions, it means religious instructions are there, so they must take the consent of the students. Okay, it means they must take the permission from the students about the religious instructions. Okay, so if they want to follow they can. Okay, so the agreement between the students and the educational institutions. Okay, if the children are minor, so they must take some consent to their parents. Okay, so it means they can take permission from minor parents. Okay, so overall, according to Article 28, there are four types of educational institutions. Okay, so the first one is educational institutions which are wholly maintained by the states. Okay, so here religious instructions are completely prohibited. Okay, so there is no religious instructions in those schools which are wholly maintained by the state. So this is one type of educational institutions. And second one is educational institutions which are established by trust or endowment and administered by the state. Okay, here they can run with their religious instructions. Okay, here article 28 is not applicable. Okay, so they can follow their own religious instructions. Okay, so the establishment by trust and administration by the state. So article 28 is not applicable to the educational institutions which are established by trust and administered by the state. Okay, and third one is some educational institutions which are recognized by the state. Okay, so whenever the state is start to recognize, so the religious instructions is permitted on their voluntary basis. Okay, and some educational institutions which are receiving aid or fund from the state. Okay, so in these educational institutions the religious instructions are permitted on the voluntary basis. Okay, it's their wish to follow the religious instructions, so there is no right to follow the religious instructions on the basis of government point of view. It's their choice to follow or not. Okay, so the third and fourth one, educational institutions have their own choice to follow the religious instructions because they only recognized by the state, and they are receiving aid only. Okay, but they are not administered by the state. Okay, so because of this point of view the educational institutions have to permit the religious instructions on their voluntary basis. Okay.